Hello there folks and welcome to the stream. My name is Mike D'Angelo, aka That Tellest Guy, and we are back today looking at our sixth map in the mountain zone. This is going to be our, I don't know what we're calling it yet, because I really don't know which way we're going with it. We know that we're doing kind of like a river that flowed down from the waterfall map that we had in I guess it was the third map in our series. So we ended up starting with the cliffside cave, and then we ended up having the mountain ascent, and then we had the mountain waterfall. So that was our third. Then we had the mountain pond, then we had the mountain bridge, and now we have whatever this thing's going to be. So we already got together some of what we need for this map. We're going to keep on keeping on, and the first thing that we're going to start with is to shave off some of the terrain that we have here so that we can start to bring some of that water down. So I've got this at let's maybe go to like a 13 brush size, and we'll start to kind of work our way through. So we're gonna have that ugly mask effect right now. We might get rid of it. It's a little too early to tell because we're not looking at the individual map. We're looking at like kind of the conglomerate of where it is, and the mask effect is kind of big right now, so we'll be able to kind of clean that up a little bit as we go. But let's start with just checking everything out. And we'll kind of tweak the individual settings as we go. Kind of a nice soothing thing that we're doing today. Just coloring in the lines as best we can. I'm not drunk, you are. And then we're probably going to have much smaller mask effects when we're on the one map that we're going to, when we dial it down to one map. I do want to get it at least a little bit close to looking the way it will. And we've kind of already done that in this map too, because we had up this way. This is all mask effects as well. So that's perfectly fine to do it like this. Scooch that mouse out of the way a little bit. And I'm currently doing this with the stylus, so you can see a little of that came through that way. I forget what the hotkey is to switch it to add mode. You're not going to work even though you say. Oh, very cool. Hey, rookie. I am a huge fan of Incarnate. At this point, I think we've made... Well, I haven't made them all, but we've put together like 200 items for Drive-Thru RPG and our Patreon and stuff like that. So, huge fan of Incarnate. Just dabbing at the sides here. We know that we're going to have to clean some of this stuff up afterwards, but it'll probably be when we're on the solo map instead of just like this. Ricky says, yeah, messed around with it a little bit. Yeah, it's a very cool tool set. And I feel like the more you like look at other people with way more skill than me, you'll be able to see like the really cool stuff that you can do. If you haven't already, I would suggest popping over to the Incarnate Discord, because there's a lot of great support that you can find there too. I see a little bit here that I missed. And let's try. There we go. Don't need it to be that big. Something like that. Let's see if we can start to shave it off little by little now. Yeah, I think once we get into the individual map, it'll be a little bit better. Ricky said, I decided for my first time DMing I'd focus on using a pre-made, but I definitely have big plans that'll involve using it. So you make maps for your own campaigns? I do for my own campaigns, but like I started off using Incarnate with the idea that I was going to use it for my own campaigns, and then I figured, well, I want to have stuff for, you know, like random encounters and stuff like that, and that's why I ended up using the tool. And at this point now we have, you know, like 200 maps, and most of them are none that I've, you know, specifically planned on throwing in our campaigns. It's just nice to have it in my back pocket. All right, I think we'll look for a couple other little spots that are messy. If you want, I'm gonna drop the link. It's battlemapfantasy.com, which is in that in the chat now. That is like where all of our drive-through RPG maps are, so you can just take a peek at that and see what other kind of stuff we've done. You can see the kind of stuff that it's not all me. It's we have partners that we started working with after last year. And you'll be able to see a lot of the cool stuff that we have all collaborated on. We're at 274 changes. I feel like 100 is usually my sweet spot, so I'm going to do a save real quick. In about 5 minutes, we'll head to our sponsor. Okay, and let's throw together some more trees and stuff like that. I know that we have nice green tree over here. Oh, very nice. Rookie says might have even saw some of those before when he was looking at drive-through. That's awesome. All right, let's throw something over there. Let's do some flocking while we're here. Actually, I might even have some stones over there that I can just grab. Yes, I do. These and throw them over. Make things pop a little bit more. I don't really need the stylus anymore. And I can't remember how far I can go. I guess right around there. Let's throw something more up there. And let's throw some rocks in the water there. Oh, I did just notice, though, that I didn't throw enough water in the center of this little river. Or on the sides, for that matter. Okay. Let's go back to our mountain waterfall map real quick. Let's verify what kind of waves we used. Just regular waves, not sea waves. I do want to grab a couple of those. Oh, I think that was a sea wave, actually. That's a ship wave, that's a sea wave, that's just a regular wave. And let's mess with the opacity a little bit, because I think I want to try and keep things consistent. Oh, that was the stamp scale, not opacity. Let's throw on random stamps. Try and keep this relatively the same shape as what we've got going on the rest of the map. a little bit more. Individualized opacity. There you go, that's a good one too. And I think we should be good as far as that goes. Let's check real quick. I can't remember if I did any like frosty stuff. That's just snow, and I can't remember where I would have used that. Let's just keep on doing some work here. So we know that we need to have some dirt over there. Let's go back to our brush palette. And let's change the opacity here. And we need to be on the foreground. Let's do, I don't want to do too much on the border because it really shouldn't be coming across too much yet, but let's do maybe in like some of the dry spots. Make it look a little bit darker. And we don't have any cliffs on that side yet, but we do have a bunch over here. We did the cracks and everything there, so we don't need to do anything crazy there. Let's see. Definitely need some more flocking. Let's see if we can get some plants over there. Under the tree. It's got a different kind of tree up here too. Nice deciduous tree. And you need to be up a layer. And let's do a little bit of, yep, no, that's moss. I need leaves. Let's see, we're going to do fallen leaves, and the brush size is fine. We need to do the texture scale of 15 or so. Let's do even higher. Let's do 30. And foreground is fine. Opacity needs to be up. And let's do, oh, you know what? I don't have the erase tool on. Well, we'll worry about it when we get to the individual map, which I think we can actually get to soon. Let's do it. Let's I'll save, and then while we're going to our sponsor, I'll start to work on resizing. Un momento. And now, a word from our sponsors. Bright, quirky, and full of charm, The Mulberry Constant by Sherry Andrews introduces us to a heroine whose brilliance might just change the world. This clever, speculative tale mixes whimsy with wonder, as it follows a young girl whose extraordinary intellect is matched only by her curiosity. With humor and heart, Andrews crafts the story about possibility, about opening doors not just to the future, but to who we might become. It's breezy, imaginative, and just the kind of tale that leaves you smiling. Check out our full promo for The Mulberry Constant by Sherry Andrews on the Tellest website. Alright, I didn't get super far, so let's just make sure that we do the rest of this. So that should be our 40 by 20. Let's make sure it looks about right to me, and let's do a confirm. We're going to keep everything in the outside of the selected region in case we ever need to do the entire set again. That's kind of the problem that we have with why the border between this map and the mountain waterfall looks a little bit weird. I didn't know that I was doing that quite yet. I didn't know that I was doing this multi-map zone stuff. Now we're down to something that's a little tighter. Let's go back into the background and we'll work over on here because we did notice that there's some stuff along the sides of the river that need to be adjusted. Everything looks good otherwise. The waves look a lot better now that we're in a little bit more of a high def kind of presentation. And let's go into our mask tools one more time and look and see if there's anything that needs to be touched up. I can definitely see some stuff over here already. We don't want the rough uneven edges. We want the ones that's kind of smooth. A little bit more over here. Okay, a little bit more here too. I like doing this because the brown kind of makes it look a little bit more natural anyway. Although in theory you could just completely get rid of it, make it so that there is no edge, and then just paint these sides gray or brown or whatever. Oh no! That one's good. I'm gonna cut out a little bit. This is kind of like the mundane stuff that you have to do to clean things up. It's this kind of care that you have that makes it look all better. Rookie says, what is it you're actually doing? You're adding brown somewhere and then coloring back over it. So there's a tool that you have in the Incarnate toolbox called the mask tool. And I'll show you basically what it looks like. So when you are working with the current layer tool, you've got foreground and background. There is an advanced layer tool that's coming. I'm like part of the Explorers group, which means that like I get access to some early stuff. If you are like playing with a foreground and a background, the way that you tell Incarnate that you're trying to have something be foreground or background is work with the mask tool. So for here, like I'm taking away the foreground, and if I wanted to add more in, you'd be able to switch to it here and like say I didn't want the river to be here, I could do something like that, and that shows you the foreground instead. So it always has like these, to start, it always has these kind of like borders, and if you go into the mask effects, you can see like it's got that stroke, and you can take that out and it has no edge at that point. It also does things like ripples, so like if I had ripples on, it would do something like that. I feel like the ripples are more for like when you have. I originally got Incarnate for like world maps and stuff like that. Like I wanted to do like regional maps of my continents and things. And the fantasy world that I was writing, I don't feel like this works out great for battle maps. I feel like it's too much ripple, and you can adjust that too. Like you see here, like you can change the count of each of the ripples, you can change the gap, you can change the width, so you could kind of adjust it to your, you know, to what you want. But I feel like the waves do that for me anyway. So that's basically what I'm doing, is just some touching up to get in here and like the nitty gritty of everything and make it just look a little bit more nice. Because eventually, you know, a map like this is going to end up going out to, you know, potential buyers, and I want to make sure that they have something nice to look at. So like you'll notice there's like there's a little bit of blue in some of these stones, and that's because the mask is pulled a little too far back. So what I'm trying to do is kind of hide the mask border within these rocks, and you'll see like it kind of comes out a little too far, so you have to be a little bit patient with it in order to get those things to kind of fall back to where you need them to. I do a lot of maps with water, so that happens a lot, where we're just kind of like tweaking those things. Yeah, absolutely. So you can see, like, you can see through these rocks, and I don't want that to happen. Just tweak some of those so that they go back. And eventually this will be high def as well. Like right now I'm working on the low res version of it. It might be something where I have to fine tune it even further, but it's usually pretty rare because you can tell I'm doing this in kind of like a painstaking fashion. So it shouldn't be too bad once we cut over to the high res version. Absolutely. I have a good time with it. There's something soothing about it too. Like it used to be, I don't really have a lot of artistic talent, but like the Incarnate toolbox makes me feel like I do. But it's just comfortable enough where like it's got like almost like therapeutic kind of feelings to it. Especially like if you're doing this fairly regularly. You know, I do the map making videos twice per week, so it is kind of like it's nice to have that kind of uniformity and consistency in my schedule. So we're up to 249. Let's do another save real quick. And it's just asking me to do that because it was cloned. While we're doing that, let's see if I can send it over to the QQ preview, and we'll be back in 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Now that our Twitch channel has reached affiliate status, we can start to do some really cool things. One of them is inviting you to play our tabletop dungeon diving game, Quantum Quest. Using our channel points, called Quest Coins, you can queue up for one of our forthcoming Tabletop Thursday games. In addition, as we amass more followers, we'll continue to add new ways for you to use your Quest Coins. Join us and see if you can escape the living dungeon. Alright, we are back. Got a couple more of these blue spots that I spotted that need to be fleshed out a little bit. We'll have a decent amount of this map done, and then I think we'll be back on this map tomorrow, and I will be, between now and then, figuring out what kind of points of interest we want to put in place. So I'd like to try and put 4 points of interest in every one of my maps, so that if this does go to somebody else, they can kind of tell side stories that they might want to tell, and it's not just a random occurrence. They can be hidden, you know, like you don't have to have it in their face or anything, but I like the option for people. Yep, absolutely. I feel like one of the things that like makes the zones pop is that, you know, you can put them all together and they can work by themselves, as you know, simultaneously. We've got you can have a huge sweeping campaign that just takes place in the mountain or the forest or something like that. But if you needed to spend a little bit of time on a map itself, just on one particular map, it can do a lot. You know, this is only like a 40 by 20 map, which isn't huge. You can, you know, get across the map in, what is it? Just like 2 bounds, 2 turns just about. But sometimes you want to linger. You want to hang out in that map for a little bit and see if there's secrets that you're missing. All right, that's pretty good. Actually, one more little tweak there. All right, we're good there. We had those stones over on the right side. Let's grab a couple more of those and throw them on the borders of the river. Oh, you know what? Seeing a little. I'll fix that later. Do a little bit more flocking because I feel like this is nice. And I did know that I wanted to grab some stones to put in the water too before we go off air. So if we do, I'll forget. Let's go. I think they're called sharp rocks. Yep, perfect. All right, so these ones, the scale is good. It's my typical scale, but let's actually bump them up a little bit. So we're going to throw them in the water, and there's a couple of different ways that you could do this. You could either go change the opacity. What I like to do instead is I will flatten this to the background, and I'll do it a couple more times too, so that there's a little bit of... I wanted to change the rotation in that one. It'll make it look a little better, I feel like. And we'll do one more over here. So grab these guys, flatten them as well, not the wave, just the rock. Okay, and then we can grab our water again and change the opacity to something like 75. And now when we go over them, might be a little too much. Let's do 60. So as long as you don't let go of your mouse, you can pass over this as many times as you want, and it only does that opacity the one time. So now we got some stones down there. There is, as I was mentioning, there's a new custom layers tool that is coming. We're not going to do it on this map because the other 5 maps in this zone, they're already done the classic way, and I don't want to really change it. You know, I want to try and keep things looking consistent. But that should be it for today. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow. Let's head over to our show closing page, and we'll talk about the other stuff we've got going on. So folks, on the screen right now, you should see all the places that you can find Tellest content out on the internet. Tellest.com is a great first place to start. Rookie, it was a pleasure to chat with you as well. Thank you for joining today. Tellest.com is a great first place to look because it'll usually bring you to our other projects. We do have 3 places where you can find our maps online. Patreon.com/Tellest is the best place to find it first because you'll be able to get all of our maps at a low monthly rate. Tellest.Etsy.com is the place where you can find our maps in physical form. We have them kind of on pause right now, but we found another printing partner that we're exploring, so hopefully we turn that back on soon. Battlemapfantasy.com is where you can go to get our digital maps a la carte. We've got some big news in that realm because tomorrow we've got our second set of 100 maps going live as well. That is going to be a really good price. The first 50 maps, which was something like 60 actually, that was a little bit under $30, but this second set, which is over 100 maps, is going to be just $40. That will go live tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. We've got 2 TikTok channels for you to check out. TikTok.com/@WeirdWitchWands is where you can find all of Rihanna's handcrafted magic wands and other goodies. And TikTok.com/@TalesOfTellest is where you can find the Tellest pooches. They've been kind of quiet today, but you'll be able to find them acting all goofy and everything on their channel. And then we've got 2 video channels that you can check out. YouTube.com/@WorldOfTellest is where all of our videos make their way to after they're on the Twitch platform. But twitch.tv/thattellest guy is the only place that you can check us out live, earn quest coins, and chat with us and use those quest coins to make us do silly things. That's going to wrap us up for today, but we will be back tomorrow. Until then, I'll miss you.